to start out, if you can each introduce yourselves and then just say something about tea and your love of tea. So, Eliot, you can start.
Okay. So I'm Eliot Jordan. I'm the Vice President of Tea at Mighty Leaf. And what I love about tea is the variety and the care and expertise that goes into making a great tea. Something I appreciate.
All right, Danielle, you're actually speaking to that effect the other day as well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe let us know your name and your take on that.
So my name is Danielle Hochstetter, and I work for Eliot Jordan. My title is Tea Purchasing Manager. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons I love tea, but I think mostly it is just the flavor and the variety of flavors, the huge range of flavors, all the way from strong black teas to really delicate and amazing floral oolongs and green teas.
I am Anni Pattee, and I love tea as well. For me, I know that early on, I think the first time, Eliot, you and I met, I was telling you that I had, for a long time, looked for something that I could be passionate about. And I studied a lot of different things. I studied photography, psychology, English. I started in industrial design at SF State and then needed to get a job, so I worked in a little cafe and completely fell in love with tea and realized that that was a good place for me to kind of put a lot of focus and energy. So to me, it also kind of gave me that direction, kind of just something that I could really get steeped in and enjoy. So that's, for me, a big part of it. Eliot, you had a big journey in tea in your life, and now you're here at Mighty Leaf Tea, but how did you first start working in tea?
Well, working in tea was at Pete's Coffee and Tea in early 1985, and came out of college and I needed a job until I figured out what I was really going to do. So I got a job at the original Pete's store in Berkeley where I grew up, and just did that for a while. And I got into tasting coffee, which is the majority of what we sold, and the teas kind of scared me because I'd heard of maybe Earl Grey and English breakfast, but even the Earl Grey was different, so the whole thing kind of scared me. And then after about a few months, I realized, oh, actually, that's not that hard. I can tell the differences, and they surprised me. Like, the coffees all look kind of like coffee, and the teas look radically different. And I just thought, wow, this is really cool. After a while, I got way more interested in tea than coffee. Coffee seemed great, but kind of like, there wasn't much to it compared with tea. A lot more depth, a lot more complexity. And my job evolved into a training job. I would basically train the employees how to taste coffee and tea. And then I got to meet Jim Reynolds, who was my mentor, and he trained me in tasting. And eventually he started training me in purchasing tea, which is the business side of tea, which is, I've never thought of myself as a businessman, but I guess I turned into one. I'm actually very lucky too, because the timing was just right. The 90s was really the beginning of specialty tea in this country. Kind of a one or two brand, boring quality commercial teas on the shelf. That's it. Pete's was a real exception. Pete's was really small. In the 90s, you had China opening up with a lot of variety of teas that never were seen. Early specialty brands come out, and yeah, the business just kind of grew from there. So this is 30 years, so it's a long answer. But I became director of tea, and now we're here. So that was a big change. Probably the biggest change in all those years.
Right.
So yeah, that's my 30 years in a teacup.
Right. And then Danielle, you also have kind of an extensive background with tea. So maybe tell us a little bit about that and how you wound up here at Mighty Leaf.
I think my journey has a lot more fits and starts than Eliot's. A lot more hopping around from place to place. I always liked tea in high school, and then in college I started getting really a lot more interested in tea, and especially loose leaf tea. That was a big jump. When I think back on it, it was like a desert for tea in Charlotte, North Carolina. I mean, in college when I would go home for the summer, you could go to one tea house in Charlotte and get loose leaf tea, but not at your regular grocery store. After college, I did a Fulbright scholarship in South Korea, and being exposed to an Asian culture where tea is such a fundamental part of the culture. Everybody's house has tea. When guests come over, you have tea. So when I did return, I got a job at a tea house in Savannah, Georgia. But it was a good experience, and I learned a lot more about tea. And then eventually, I left Savannah, so I decided to move to China and learn the language, Mandarin, and learn more about tea. And then I met Eliot Jordan at the World Tea Expo, and so he was looking for a manager at that time. And so I ended up moving from Hangzhou to the Bay Area, and I don't know what to say after that.
Well, can you say "Have a nice day" in Mandarin, or its equivalent?
I was going to say, people don't really say have a nice day.
What would people say?
Oh, please enjoy some nice tea.
Yeah.
They don't say that.
They're like, that's just a given.
They would say, 请您喝茶, like, please have your tea. When people say goodbye, they say, please walk slowly, 慢走, or just 再见, goodbye.
再见.